Absolutely. I mean, with women, we can encourage men to
Mm.
be more open, honest, secure, and create the safe environment for them to do so. Because a lot of complaints that I hear from men is that every time they do open up, it's used against them.
Yeah.
And I think women need to understand that even if a man is having a bad day or complaining or saying something about them,
Mm.
that them releasing their stress is not about them,
Yeah.
right? As a woman, it's not okay to take a conversation of your partner releasing something and turn it around on them because you all of a sudden think it's about you or they're complaining about you.
Yeah.
We are allowed to have grief with our partners without that being our entire grief system, right? It's just a small piece. So creating a better environment as mothers, as sisters, as girlfriends, as wives, for men to be able to open up and have a safe space for them to release these things
Yeah.
will encourage them not to have so much shame about it.
Exactly. I think what happens as well is also is what we see on TikTok and everything else is that, you'll see these debates on certain podcasts and that about, women don't understand men's troubles and and I think when you look at this kind of content, what you got to be careful of, you take a fraction of society, and not everything in society is Vegas, Miami, New York. Do you see what I mean? There's the rest of the country, and then there's the rest of the world. So it's quite interesting. Like, there are some subtleties there. So, for instance, is you want to open up to your partner, but you don't want to open up to your partner like using your words because they're feeling like emasculated or being a pussy or whatever. But then there's a difference between the two. Let me give an example. If you lost one of your children or something like that and you cried in front of your partner, that's different to coming home every day, don't like your job, doing nothing about it, and then going to your partner and effectively whining and saying, I don't like my job because there's no solution. And I think sometimes people mix up these behaviors. There's one thing where you sincerity of needing help from your partner and actually just whining and not doing anything about it, because I don't think women do respect that. You may listen to you the first day, but if you go home every night and go, oh, I hate my job, and then they go, what are you doing about it? And you do nothing and come home the next day crying again, I hate my job, I hate my job. I think that's a lot different to open up your partner about a specific situation that you're trying to remedy. Does that make sense? There's a lot of context there.
Absolutely, because at the end of the day, nobody likes a victim. And
No.
that's like a really harsh way to say, but like if you're victimizing yourself every day, and that's also what frustrates men about women when we complain, right? Is if he's given her a solution and giving her a solution and she's talking about the same thing over and over again, like nobody really likes that because you're not having a growth mindset.
Yeah.
But men and women process things differently, and ultimately, neither partner needs to solve something for the other.
Yeah.
But it's just understanding, what are you doing to solve this for yourself, and how can I help nurture that aspect of you?
Nurture. Exactly. You use the words there, and I think that's what gets skipped out in between. I think when this complaint is often upheld, it's because they're being a pussy or they're being a whinger and they're not got any plan in place. They have the tendency to moan and then blame women for the lack of empathy. And that's why I think we miss a lot of context and the shades of grey online with a lot of stuff. It's not clearly defined. Like where people would turn around and say men are the disposable sex. And the truth is, if you look back through history, yes, they are the most disposable of both of them. However, since you've come along and climbed down and sat down on this planet, it's the safest planet it's ever been. You're not being chased by tigers and everything else. So if anything, you should be pleased you become even less disposable. It's how you look at stuff. Does that make sense? They'll go, yeah, but what about the Titanic? And okay, well, what are you going to do? What's you changing? What are you going to change about that? Nothing. So what can you do? You can keep saying about it. And yes, you are the disposable sex. Is that's what you want me to tell you are? What are you going to do? Are you going to get on with it and deal with life in a different way? Are you going to fix it? Are you going to fix it? No, you're not going to fix it. It's just the way it is. That's biology. Every man has to deal with the exact same thing as you, but it's how they think about it. Do you understand where I'm coming from? And I think that's where it can get frustrating, because you want to support and help people, but there's got to be an inkling that they've got to help themselves, or at least be shown and at the awareness that someone sits them down and say, hey, yeah, you are disposable sex. Yes, you do need to get a job if you want to support your children. Unfortunately, you are required to have a bare minimum of a job. Yes, you do have to have a bath at least once a day. Do you see what I mean? I think when we look at these things, they're often...
That's the healthy shame.